Okay. So far, uh, Longchenpa taught that this very life we have is precious, very precious, and yet impermanent. And then suffering nature of samsara, and then law of cause and effect. Studying these, reflecting on these, one truly understands the nature of samsara, what all this about. And at this point, one be able to turn one's mind to Dharma, sincerely, shall we say, or genuinely, one really aspire, knowing that our samsaric nature as a suffering, impermanent, all sentient beings going through law of cause and effect. Here, one genuinely turn one's mind toward Dharma. Now, as one turn one's mind toward Dharma, then of course, first and foremost, a spiritual master is now needed. So, today's first chapter that we are going to discuss is about spiritual master. Importance of relying on the spiritual masters is this chapter's teachings. Now, why do we need spiritual masters and spiritual friends, companions? Because we all can be influenced by our friends, by our surroundings, by circumstances. We can be influenced. Can we? We are somehow turn our mind outward and depending on others, what others say to us, what others do to us, do they praise us, do they blame us? It's a big matters. So, since we can be influenced greatly, it does make a sense that we try to be in a good environment in which one can be influenced positively. It is said in Sutra, let's say a tree, ordinary tree, or just say let's say a piece of wood fall into a forest of sandalwood, smelling really great, beautiful sandalwood forest. Days goes by, months goes by, year goes by. What happens to this piece of wood? This piece of wood will have sandalwood sand. great sin. Like that, Buddha said, beings influence to each others. If we hang out with good beings, we can be influenced very positively. If we hang out with not necessarily good ones, we can be also influenced that way. So therefore, finding a good teacher, if one ever wish to walk on the path of liberations, it does make sense to find somebody who is on the path of liberations. A master who can guide. Friends who can support on the path. It does make sense. Therefore, first and foremost, when one turns one's mind toward the spiritual path, a spiritual master is the first step to find. That has been the case, Longchenpa says. All the Buddhas of the past depend on wonderful teacher. Under guidance, they practice and they attain enlightenment. All the Buddhas in the present, same thing happened. The future Buddhas, those of us here, in person and online here, future Buddhas will also depend on relying on good masters and hang out with good buddies. It does matters. So Longchenpa says here, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Arhats, Sharavakayanas, Pratika Buddhayanas. In fact, all these great things, happiness also comes from relying on a good people. So of course, relying on a wonderful spiritual master who can guide is utmost important. And then when one enters in the path, first thing what we do is take refuge in three jewels. Obviously, that need a teacher to give you refuge vows, initiate you in that path. Go along with all these precepts we take on the path in Vinayana. All these need teachers. Bodhisattvas, bodhicitta, generations receiving vows. And of course, Vajrayana, empowerment, transmissions. Then, teacher must be there, necessary. That's it. Okay. Now here, Longchenpa says, stanza 3 to 10, okay? Now up to here, importance of having a teacher. From here, then, who is that master, spiritual master? What kind of characteristics? Here, Longchenpa one of his favorite, actually, verses. Kuntang tunshin kunlin debiter, which means that to begin with, teacher should be somebody who is in harmony with everyone, and yet different from all of them. He should be harmony with everyone, because after all, he should lead everyone. If not in harmony, how can you lead? So in another word, if you find a teacher who's not get along with anyone, he or she says, oh, this is not good, that is not good, or somebody else there is not good, here's not going to good things happening. So if he doesn't get along with anyone, then obviously not a good teacher. Therefore, good teacher should be in harmony with everyone. And yet, he should be different from everyone, because he is the one who leads you beyond these ordinary things. He should be extraordinary one with all his spiritual qualities. He must be extraordinary one. In fact, not only here Longchenpa describes the teacher's characteristics, but also practitioners' characteristics. We practitioners should be in harmony with all, given in that time, in that society, in that community, and yet different from them all. So, this is where it begins, teacher's characteristics. Now, when you think about spiritual masters, then there are different spiritual masters. Let's say, in the vehicle of Sharavakayana, Pratyeka Buddhayana, the teacher should be qualified to teach and lead beings in that path. Obviously, we all share as a Buddhist noble heart, tame mind, noble speech. The teacher should have noble speech, the noble actions, all his physical actions, all his verbal actions, all his mind should be in a positive. We talk about what are the things one stay away from, refrain from, what are the things to be adopted. From there on, all the precepts, all different precepts, whatever you are on that path, the teacher must embody that precepts. And then, of course, teacher should be well versed whatever he or she is trying to teach in that school, in that vehicle. And then now, how about Vajrayana? Well, there comes even more stories. Vajrayana teachers should have lineage blessings. The one who gives transmissions should have transmissions from his or her own teachers. One who gives empowerment must have empowerment from his or her own teachers. And most importantly, this Vajrayana teacher must uphold a pure samaya and authentic. So, these are the teachers' basically qualities. And then, of course, whatever in Vajrayana teaching says, whatever needs to be practiced, all the Samaya precepts, the teacher must embody that. And teacher must well verse into whatever he or she is trying to lead the path, whatever he or she takes. They should be well versed into this. So, these kind of teachers, Longchenpa says, like a great ship, boat, which can cross the ocean of samsara. If there is examples, they're like a perfect boat. They are like a peerless guide, perfect guide, who can guide you well through many things to perfect enlightenment. These teachers are like a wish-fulfilling jewel with which, if you hang out with, if you spend time with, you can fulfill all your wishes on the path of liberations, whatever wishes you may have. These teachers are like a moon which give you cooling effect, which cool down all the suffering nature of samsara. These teachers are like a sun which illuminate all darkness. Of course, that is said, illuminating all darkness. An inspiration for your practice. It's also blessings. When I, for instance, in fact, the teacher, or guru, let us use the word guru. Teacher sounds like the one who just teach. In fact, that's not the case. The whole picture is not there. For instance, at the beginning, when I do this application prayers, I pray that embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, embodiment of all enlightened qualities. May you bless me. May you hold me in your compassion throughout my lifetimes. I'm not considering him like that kind of somebody who just teach you something. Way more than that. Way more than that. For me, teachers, my gurus are really like brilliant suns which illuminate my inner world. They are my inspirations. They are basically Buddha. For me, I have put here, see, Dujom Rinpoche and Guru Rinpoche picture together, Peno Rinpoche and Buddha Shakyamuni together. yes, due to my own defilements, I could not connect, cannot see Guru Rinpoche. But for me, His Holiness Dujong Rinpoche is Guru Rinpoche, Peno Rinpoche is Buddha Shakyamuni. No difference. Like that, all my teachers I put, actually, I'm not sure if I can. Yeah. All the teachers I put it up. Okay, a little bit. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. That's it. You don't touch here very much.
Oh, I just want to put a little higher for you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, guys. I just wanted to show you. So like that. Just for me sitting here, looking at all the teachers. Yes, most of them are already passed away, gone. But in my own mind, they are never gone. They are ever present. My morning practice is starting with Hondo. When I go to sleep, pray, they are ever more present in my own mind stream. They're just not just teachers, they're just there, illuminating at all times. So this is the teacher. As well as inspirations, In fact, one reason that I'm doing this teaching, sharing this with you is in my own selfish ways, fulfilling my teacher's aspirations. I think I mentioned you this before. I received these teachings from Hoshul Rinpoche. Long ago, when I was at Namdoling Monastery in South India, His Holiness Peno Rinpoche invited Hoshul Rinpoche. And then in the daytime, we had our own classes going on. So in the evening at 7, and his Hoshul Rinpoche taught this. When he taught, even His Holiness Peno Rinpoche, he didn't have to, but to show his monks and Tulkus and Khenpos how important it is, the teaching, Longchenpa's teachings. He used to come almost every time when Hoshul Rinpoche gave these teachings. It was so wonderful. When we first came together, of course, Hoshul Rinpoche used to pay respect, vow to His Holiness. And then we get together and we go in the temple. And here, Hoshul Rinpoche sits on the throne. And as he sits on the throne, His Holiness Peno Rinpoche vow to Hoshul Rinpoche. Genuine respect and devotion to each other. Amazing. Something that we can feel it, but that cannot be expressed. This is one of the most important memory in my own world, which inspires me to pay attention to these teachings. I think I mentioned this before. Hoshul Rinpoche was teaching this, and he had his own dialect, a little bit different dialect, and his voice was not that clear, hoarse, And some monks, young monks, they were imitating Nyoshu Rinpoche's, because some verses we hear more often than not from Nyoshu Rinpoche. That were, Nyoshu Rinpoche was saying, imagine an old man carrying a heavy load of all these karmas and affective emotions, discursive thoughts. And he has been walking and walking, never stop, carrying these heavy load, big load. Wouldn't that be great to put these down and take a rest? Wouldn't that be great? Taking rest, finding rest in the natural mind, and finding rest with all these minds of disturbance, finding rest. So Nyoshu Rinpoche used to repeat these saying. I'm not exactly translating, but that's basically what translation is. And then the young monks, that was a little bit funny, and they used to repeat, imitate Nyoshu Rinpoche basically. The elder monks used to say to them, don't do that, it's not good. What are you doing? So when I think about it right now, looking back, what a wonderful imitations they can do. I wonder where these young monks are right now. I hope they still think about what these meanings behind this, whatever they are imitating. So that's just a side story. Anyway, teachers, spiritual teacher is more than just a teaching job. And then Vajrayana now. In the Vajrayana context, Longchenpa here says, teachers, spiritual teachers are the fourth jewel, Kunchu Jipa we say, Kunchu Jipa. Fourth jewel. I go refuge in Guru and then in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. In fact, not only a source of inspirations, blessings, and teachings, but one look upon one's own spiritual teacher as Buddha himself, not different. So here needs some explanations why this happens. I have mentioned so many times in the past, in order to practice Vajrayana, one must accept the principal view of Vajrayana. The principal view of Vajrayana is that all sentient beings, regardless who we are, human or animal or God realms or hell realms, all sentient beings have Buddha nature. Inherently, in another word, we all pure, primordially pure. Just we are not aware of it, not revealed yet. Otherwise, the Dhammakaya mind, Buddha's enlightened qualities, and what one have as sentient beings, this primordial purity, no differences. So here, as a Vajrayana practitioners, What is most important then? If that is the case, if one accepts the innate purity, primordial purity, what is most important? Most important on the practice is so known as pure perceptions, pure view, right? As we say, awakening in Guru's pure vision practice we do. This very place is pure Buddha field. All beings are Dakas, Dakinis, Guru Rinpoche, the Eshi Sojals. This very thought is in fact pristine awareness, primordially pure. Pure perception must be there. Without such, then Vajrayana practice, visualize yourself as Guru Rinpoche, yourself as Medicine Buddha, yourself as Tara. None of these things works. So here, to whom one can generate these pure perceptions, pure views? Most likely you can generate toward your spiritual teachers, because after all, he is the one who teaches this. He is the one who inspires you to look within and realize your true nature. He is the one. If there is a being that you can generate pure perception, this must be him or her, your spiritual teacher. For that reason, yes, it is important to view your teachers Buddha-like. That which we call sometimes devotions and faith. Buddha-like, Bodhisattva-like. When you do empowerment. The one who gives empowerment, the one who gives transmission should be that deity, that Buddha. Without having such, is said to receive limited blessings. It is said that when Atisha came to Tibet, maybe I'm telling too many stories here. Tibetan asked him, Atisha, can you please give us blessings? And Atisha simply said to these Tibetan folks, you first give me devotion. So devotion and blessings correspond to each other. When one receives teachings, transmissions, empowerment, if one accept, view the teacher as a Buddha, one receives as a Buddha's blessings, as a just somebody's blessings, whatever that may be. But then, ultimately, where it is leading to, it is not just that Guru, spiritual master is Buddha, and rest all not Buddha. That is not the case at all. Yes, pure perceptions, pure view must start from your own teachers. And from there, one awaken in teacher's state. That's all Guru Yoga practice is about. Become inseparable, like water pouring into water. Awaken in this inner Guru. And then not only your teacher and yourself awaken in this inner Guru, but all sentient beings awaken in that purity. So that how we begin view your masters as a Buddha. Okay, now stanza 11 and 12. How one rely on a spiritual master, how one approach now. Of course, there are so many different ways, but this will encompass many things. We say four metaphors. Four metaphors are regard your spiritual master as a perfect doctor, physician, who knows exactly where sufferings are and how can be healed. Does it make sense? Perfect doctor, king of all healer. Regard his teachings as a medicines, panacea, which we can heal everything. Yes, Dharma can heal everything. Regard yourself as a sick with karmas, afflictive emotions, concept, delusions. Sick with all these as a sick person. Regard when one applied one's teacher's teachings, the teaching when one apply is the way how one heal the remedy. That's how one should view four metaphors. At all times. Among these, of course, most important is that if one is a sick person, even though doctors prescribe the medicine, if one do not take the medicine, what happens? One cannot be healed. In the same manner, even though one receives teachings, empowerment, transmissions, whatever teachings one receives, if one do not practice, one do not heal. So of course, if one rely on teacher in this, four metaphor, in these four ways, accepting these four ways, then everything come in order. So of course, there are many different ways now. From there on, then first receiving the teachings and then practicing and so on and so forth, right? Okay. Now, next one. Now Longchenpa says here, it stanza 13, 14, 15, from there on through 26. It's about disciples, okay? Disciples. Speaking of disciples or students, there are many different kinds, but bad students and good students. Bad students who do not have faith, who do not consider all these things, who just want to figure out or entertain their intellectually, more curiosities. And these Longchenpa says here, it's like these beings are like a hunter. Teacher is like a masked deer, right? Masked deer. And the Dharma is the mask that they want to extract from. Take it. So these are the not necessarily good students. Will not be good because motivation is not there. All he wants is just somehow like a hunter. Have to be careful because these may lead and not a good result. So therefore, in Vajrayana teachings, we talk about such is secrecy, such is when unless ready, one should not be given all these things, stories. And then how about good students? Good students, then of course, having faith and devotions. Who think about these four metaphors? Most importantly, want to practice Dharma. Compassion, naturally. Likewise, mindfulness, vigilance. The main things they really want to practice. They really want to heal themselves. Quite the opposite of what bad students are. They really turn their mind from samsara genuinely and really wish to attain enlightenment. When they have these profound wishes and motivation, they take the teacher as a real big deal. They will take teacher as a Buddha even. And that way they will serve the teacher with three doors, we say, body, speech, and mind. Now, speaking of serving teachers, one of the most important service to teacher is your practice. Because teacher's aspirations for you is to practice, we say. So what is the biggest offering, biggest support, so to speak, biggest fulfillment of your teachers you can do? That is, take the medications, take the teaching into practice, put the teaching into practice, and follow the path. Follow the teacher's instructions. In that way, one fulfills teacher's aspirations. And this is the greatest service that the students offer to the teacher. And then here stanza 27. Again, Longchenpa now give a warning. Warning is be careful. Also, do not you end up with the bad teachers. There are bad teachers who can lead not to enlightenment, but somewhere else. Not based on bodhicitta. Not liberation, I should say. Not liberations, but, somewhere else. There's a bad teachers out there. To be careful. Likewise, bad companions, friends, be careful with that. Why? Same thing. All can be influenced. Oneself is not established, is strong enough. Who one hang out with, who one look after, role model, right? Matters. So therefore, be careful with your role model. Be careful with your buddies. If your buddy is somewhat on a very different path, you again have to watch out. These, I think, particularly here, that's why we have Dharma centers where we get together, all feel like people together, similar people. Then that way we get inspiration from each other's, clarification of the path from each other. That was actually the reason that Buddha established Sangha member to begin with, 2,500 something years ago in India, Sangha communities, so that there's something shared to each other, inspired to each other, practice together. So of course, all these because it matters, circumstances, surrounding matters. Okay, and then don't do that. Stanza 33 on. Then Longchenpa talks about here accomplishing Guru. So, as you know, lots of Vajrayana sadhana practice. One visualize the deity, essence of the deity is a guru, your own guru, in the form of the idam deities and practice. Or simply here, when one has such faith and devotion in such a spiritual master, then visualize him or her surrounded by all these dakas and dakinis, and then go through supplications, recite mantra, put his or her name there, and through one accomplish 4 activities for the benefit of sentient beings. So these, from one's pure devotion to certain guru, if one do this practice, this is a powerful, effective on the path, very effective. Likewise, practice like special like 4 feast practice, in which one offer one's body to the 4 guests, usually the supreme guest, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Here, the main guest as a guru, to your own guru, will make offerings. And these particularly, if one on the path, if one gets sick or some obstacles are there, in order to overcome these obstacles, these practices are considered very important. And particularly, of course, by doing such practice, offering one's body is the direct antidote to cut through our ego-clinging mind. and then receiving, of course, blessings. These are very profound and effective, that are uniquely Vajrayana's way of practicing. Okay. So, basically, what I want to also emphasize here is that one view as a Vajrayana practitioners, then, outer guru and inner guru. Inner guru is one's true nature, the promoted Buddha mind, or inner purity as our true being. The outer guru is simply looked upon as the manifestation of this inner purity out there. So for that reason, we do like a calling Lama from afar. From afar, why? Because in the infinite lifetimes, while being and just ordinary sentient beings, we have been quite away from our true nature, the inner guru. So we have to invoke that inner guru to come, that which is outside there, invoking guru's blessings, and get closer in a sense. In Guru Yoga practice, one receive Guru's blessings like, four empowerment forms. Guru's wisdom body, speech, and mind. One get closer, and to the end, one become inseparable with the Guru, awaken. So, this is very important to know in the Vajrayana practice. So all this Guru Yoga practice, calling Lama from afar, visualizing yourself as a deity, self-visualizations, all these things that we usually do will make a lot more sense and more realistic, more effective. And then from stanza 41 through the rest, okay. Longchenpa says, once again, rely on a spiritual master, which is very important, through which you can progress on the path. Accumulation of merit, practice, everything, all the spiritual qualities can be attained while relying on a spiritual master, and then relying on spiritual friends, very important. He once more emphasized. And don't be like, discouraged. Follow the example. Doesn't see here, but like Sudana, we call Sudana basically here. He represents the most inspirational, who seek gurus and then receive teachings one after another. It is in fact said that Sudana received Junu Norzang, we say, Kumara Sudana, sometimes translated, right? From so many teachers he received teachings, starting from Manjushri. And then his last teacher was Samantabhadra. Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, by the way. Bodhisattva Samantabhadra is that usually Bodhisattva Samantabhadra is the embodiment of he's such a symbol of aspirations. Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, he made great aspirations. So this Kumara Sudana, he at last received teaching from Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, that king of aspirations. We have somewhere, we have also translations. King of aspirations called. Papa Zambuchipe Malam, we call Papa Zambuchipe Malam. Ayabata Tsaya Tani Danaranza, King of Aspiration prayer that he received from Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. The Pramodri Buddha Samantabhadra, right? That's why I'm a little bit making it clear. That's different, by the way. This is Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. And then Longchenpa says, Sadapara Rudita, we say, Tanjusempa Tatu, who weep all the time. So here, in the Prajana Paramita Sutta talks about this Bodhisattva who really sacrificed a lot, his own body, his blood, his bone, in order to go and see a teacher receive teachings. So, like that, Longchenpa says, in the past, such disciples search for great teachers and receive teachings. So, get inspiration from, right? Like them. Now, long story short, so long one can be influenced, it is important to rely on authentic spiritual masters from which one receives teachings with which one can progress on the path. And then spiritual friends with which one can practice. So this outer guru, outer master is necessary until one awakens this inner guru. So when one's awakened inner guru, when one's become fully awakened, then of course we don't have anything to deal with. Until then, so long there is something to be purified. Karmas, affective emotions on the path, outer guru is important. And relying on outer guru and have spiritual friends is important. So that concludes this chapter on spiritual master. Okay, now we have time. We're going to go to the next chapter. This is on page 67, okay? Refuge. Okay. 이거. Chapter on refuge. Okay. Now, so far, we have all the foundations well established, including the Guru, right? The spiritual masters there. Now, the refuge. What is refuge? Taking refuge in three jewels is where one began the path. Really beginning now. Now it's really beginning. It's a gateway entering in the gate, through the gate now, to enlightenment. Yes, wonderful. Okay. What are the three jewels? Buddha jewel, Dhamma jewel, and Sangha jewel. Okay? Now here, Longchenpa begins. What kind of people take refuge? More of a smaller mind, small motivations, smaller scope of mind. These people take refuge in three jewels just to be free from sufferings, right? Three, maybe, three lower realms. So that's that one. Second is more of a Sharabhakayana and Pratyaka Buddhayana's ways. That is to be liberated from sufferings, but rather for themselves. It's great that you have the motivation to be liberated from samsara by taking refuge in three jewels, but it's still not perfect. So what is the perfect motivation to take refuge in three jewels? The perfect motivations to be awakened from samsara for the benefit of all sentient beings. For all sentient beings. For benefit of all sentient beings, one go refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is the perfect motivations. So that means that every time we do refuge practice, our motivation should be that way, right? For the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay. And then time, Longchenpa says here, the one, smaller scope, just until one be free from sufferings. And middle one, just to be liberated, until one liberated from sufferings of samsara, into nirvana, into peace. But the greatest, longer time is that, for the time is that until, one awaken, become fully awakened. That's like, in the Mondo practice, we say, which means until I become fully awakened, I go for refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, right? Not just for today, right? Not for tomorrow, until one become awakened. So that is the timing-wise, such a great scope of mind, one go for refuge. Okay. Now next question is then, in whom one take refuge? Three jewels. Among three jewels, first, Buddha jewels. What is Buddha jewel? Buddha in Tibetan, Sangye, such a profound word. Sangye has two meanings. Sang means purified, revealed, completely eradicate all suffering is Sang. J, which means fully developed, all the Buddha's qualities, all the Buddha's qualities. The infinite wisdom, infinite compassion, infinite potentiality, enlightened potential to liberate sentient beings, are fully developed. That is J, right? Sang J. And of course, we can think of as four kayas, embodiment of four kayas and five wisdoms and all these Buddha's qualities. But Sang J has a very profound meaning. So basically, enlightened being, enlightened, fully revealed, fully developed, purified, all defilements, not defilements there, with infinite qualities, is the Buddha jewel that one takes refuge in. Dharma jewel. Dharma jewel has two aspects. We call Lungtang Topichu, Dharma of transmissions and Dharma of realizations, right? Dharma of transmissions is what Buddha taught. Lungichu, Dharma of transmissions. How many times Buddha taught? 3 times. How many numbers of Buddha taught? We say 84,000 different teachings for the liberation of ignorance, 21,000. For the liberation of attachment, desire, 21,000. For the liberation of anger, aversion, 24,000. For the liberation of overall, all these 3 together, 21,000. So 84,000 different teachings. Basically, no one left behind according to the mental dispositions of all sentient beings. Within 24,000, within 84,000 different teachings, basically reach out to all sentient beings' needs. These are Dharma of transmissions. And then in Tibetan version, maybe I'm saying too many things here, but I think it's important, right, to know. At least Aaron says this. Okay. Tibetan version, we have like Buddha's own word collected over 100 volumes. Panditas explaining Buddha's teachings, over 200 volumes. Together, over 300 volumes. That alone the Tibetan scholars, masters wrote. So all these what? Dharma of transmission, okay? Dharma teachings, all the texts we have. So wonderful texts like this, Longchenpa's. Okay. And then Dharma of realizations. What is Dharma of realizations? Dharma of realization is two aspects again. Dharma of realization is now actually the practice of Dharma. Practice of Dharma. On the bhumis of bodhisattvas, like first to 10 bhumis, 5 paths we divide. All the basically practicing, directly antidote, directly removing all the obscurations, revealing the innate purity. That's the Dharma of transmissions. Dharma of transmissions. Within Dharma of transmission, by the way, I'm a little bit mixing up now. See, there are two. Truth of the path. and truth of the cessation, by the truth of the path, Lamchitenpa, Ngopitenpa. Lamchitenpa, truth of the path, is what I've been just describing. The removing, revealing, purifying. Right now, when you are meditating, directly antidote to your anger, jealousy, delusions, meditating on emptiness. This is Dharma, truth of path, Lamchitenpa. That's Dharma of realizations. And Ngopitenpa is truth of cessations. Cessation is then, many of us here have been practicing for a long time. By now, you do have truth of cessation. Truth of cessation is a result, the free of that, free of this. We are not free of attachment, free of all these things, but if you look at kind of a microscopic level, we are, because of so many years we have been practicing, we are developed. They are developed. We are more compassionate. We are more aware of suffering nature of samsara. We have devotions versus what we did not have at all at the beginning. Now we have this. We do have removed a lot of the obscurations. So that is truth of cessation. Does it make sense? Truth of cessation, the result of what you practice. So that is again Dharma of transmissions. Dharma of transmission has two parts, right? Truth of the path, truth of cessations. Maybe they're not necessary for you to learn all these things, but that's important, in some ways very important. What is the removing aspect while practicing, and then the result of practice that one have, truth of cessations. Practicing, removing, revealing is the truth of the path, right? Okay, now here's what we say. Generally, Buddha's teachings, upholding the Buddha's teaching, what does that mean? That means Buddha upholding the Dharma of transmissions and Dharma of realization here. Two things happening. How we uphold Dharma of transmissions. Dharma of transmissions should be upheld by studying, by teachings, by writing about it. All this upholding Dharma of transmissions. Right? Does that make sense? And Dharma of transmissions, how Dharma of transmissions that? Dharma of realization, how we uphold that. See? We uphold Dharma of realization by practicing, of course, by sitting on this cushion, meditating. That's how we uphold Dharma of realizations. So what does it mean to be a Buddhist and upholding the Buddha Dharma teachings? Upholding Buddha Dharma of transmissions and upholding Dharma of transmission by practicing, by studying and receiving teachings, all about knowing, and then upholding Dharma of realization by practicing. That's it. Okay, now next. Now so far we have been Buddha Dharma and Sangha. Sangha basically means those who take refuge in Buddha jewel and those who practice Dharma are Sangha jewel. That which we all are Sangha members. And yet, usually when we say Gendunki Deji, which means monk and nun, lay man, lay woman, Gendunki Deji. Right? But here, when we say I take refuge in Sangha jewel, we are more referring to the supreme Sangha jewels. Supreme Sangha jewels are those who are on the path of Sharavakayana, Pratyeka Buddhayana. We say Junshu Chirong Chirmyo, esteemed enterer, once returner, no more return, and Arhat. Lots of stories to tell. I'm very excited to say this, but timing is, not doing well here. But that's okay, not that important here. Then, how about Mahayana? And then all these great bodhisattvas from first bhumi to 10 bhumis. And then from the path of joining to path of, accumulations of the Sangha, Supreme Sangha, basically. And then how about Vajrayana aspect? Then Dakas and Dakinis, all these great beings, Supreme Sangha jewels. So now I think so far we are good on the 3 jewels, right? Important to know all these things. Yeah. Now, how we take refuge in Sangha, take refuge in 3 jewels. First, more common ways. We take refuge in Buddha jewel, that Buddha as a perfect teachers or perfect fearless guide, right? Perfect teachers. Dharma is a perfect path. The path that which lead oneself from this to enlightenment. That which can liberate from sufferings, completely liberate, the perfect path. Sangha jewel, the perfect companions, the good spiritual friends, right? In another word. We are on the path, we are on the same boat, we share each other, our understanding of Dharma, our practice, we inspire each other. So that is Sangha, accepting, regarding as the perfect companions, perfect friends. It's the ways in which one take refuge. In another word, again, Buddha is more of what one try to achieve, emulate, try to attain the state. Dharma is the path. Sangha is the support with which one can become fully awakened. This is most important. So without these 3 together, one cannot be a Buddhist. Others like accepting other jewels in other religions, I might say, but all these 3 jewel accepting like this, going for refuge in this way makes oneself as a Buddhist. What makes you a Buddhist is the one. You are the one when you take refuge in Buddha jewel, in Dhamma jewel, in Sangha jewel. That is the definition that make you the Buddhist. Yeah. That is stanza 11 and 12. So now here Longchenpa explains how one take refuge. To begin with, I must say the thing that usually when somebody wish to become a Buddhist, we explain the three jewels, and then give refuge vows, and cut a small portion of their hair, which represents like when Siddhartha left his palace and went out there in the forest and he cut his own hair, that marks the point of liberations, that from there on then he journeyed, his path to enlightenment began from there. So to represent that, and then we usually give names, refuge names. That's how it works. But then here again, as on the path, one take refuge. How one take refuge here? Don't forget, first thing first, motivations, right? For the benefit of all motherly sentient beings, for the awakening of all motherly sentient beings. That is the motivation, one take refuge. For how long one take refuge? One take refuge until one become fully awakened. Yeah. And then here Longchenpa says, visualize Buddha Dharma Jewel, Buddha Dharma Sangha. So here we have known as refuge trees, right? Refuge tree, which basically the representation of three jewel. Actually, Robin, can you briefly show us the refuge tree that we have? There are many different refuge tree, by the way. This is what we usually use. In the center, Buddha jewel. Here in the case of Hondo, Guru Rinpoche. In the Guru Rinpoche, one's teacher in the Guru Rinpoche's form. The Guru Rinpoche, which is the embodiment of all Buddhas, not a particular Buddha, but all Buddhas. Above, all the lineage masters, as in the center. On the right side of Guru Rinpoche is all the Buddhas of the three times. On the left side of Guru Rinpoche is all the Sanghas of the, lower vehicles and Mahayana and supreme vehicles. And in front of Guru Rinpoche is then, idam deities. In the behind of Guru Rinpoche is Dharma, all the volumes, Tibetan volumes, like with the tag label. So what this is that this represents the whole three jewels, basically, right? Buddha jewel in the center, on the right side of Guru Rinpoche, Sangha jewel on the left side of Guru Rinpoche. In front is we call particular, Buddha jewel, that is idam deity, tantric Vajrayana practice, and behind Guru Rinpoche as the Dharma jewels, with all the texts. Okay, Robin, thank you. So one visualize that all there. Buddha Dharma Sangha, Guru Idam Dakini, all there, nothing left. One visualize that. And in the presence, then now one lead, one thing that all sentient beings, one lead, one do prostration or simply say the prayers, I go refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. In more Vajrayana ways, I go refuge in the Guru, then Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, until one become fully awakened in this presence. One take refuge. And then, after doing the refuge practice, light radiates from the refuge trees, Guru, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, dissolve into oneself and all beings. And then one receive all the three jewels, blessings. And then in here, Longchenpa's, I'll explain soon. So now, as a resultant refuge, then dissolve oneself, dissolve all sentient beings into the, refuge trees. The refuge tree also dissolve, and then one abide in the empty essence. And after that, dedicate the merit. So that's how refuge practice is done. As you know, there are many different ways, by the way, different refuge trees to begin with. But overall idea is same, teaching is same. Refuge tree represents the whole three jewels. And in the presence of refuge tree, then one, going refuge from this moment until enlightenment, again, same thing. Okay. Now stanza 13 and through 15, resultant refuge, we call Dibu Chamdo. So far we have been talking about this Jui Chamdo, causal refuge. And here now, result refuge. Result refuge is now the very result that causal refuge achieve, accomplish. That here basically Dhammakaya state is the resultant refuge. This resultant refuge, Dhammakaya, is the essence of all three jewels. Buddha jewels, essence. The appearing of the Buddha, different characteristic appearance is not the real. The real Buddha essence is the Dhammakaya state. Likewise, Dharma jewels, what really achieve is this ultimate state. Sangha jewel, the one who try to accomplish is this resultant refuge. So, in another word, resultant refuge is the essence of Buddha jewel, Dhamma jewel, and Sangha jewel. That's it. And knowing that, now one abide in this primordially pure, one's true nature, even though this primordial nature has been in this all samsaric phenomena, but still this primordial nature has never changed, it always remains pure. So here, as a practice of resultant refuge, here Longchenpa says, first you do the causal refuge practice. Visualize refuge in front, go refuge to each Guru, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and then receive blessings. After receive blessings, all dissolve. Now you remain in this primordial state. Here, no one actually taking refuge, no out there in whom one take refuge, no action of taking refuge, all beyond dual state, non-dual, great equality, one abide after each refuge practice. So that is resultant refuge practice. I hope that's clear. And then Longchenpa says, arising from there, view all phenomena, these post-meditations phenomena, as what? As the one last time we discussed, finding rest in illusions, or as a dream-like, mirage-like, reflection-like, echo-like. View that. And then dedicate the merit for all sentient beings to awaken in this. So this is how we begin the path. This is how we start and practice. Okay. Now, few things, important things at the conclusion. Stanza 16, 17 from there on talks about the precepts. Very easy one now. Precepts has first two precepts. Precepts that one must abandon and precept that must adopt. First precepts one must abandon are, once you take refuge in Buddha jewel, Buddha as the perfect, fully enlightened, one do not take refuge in other who are not fully enlightened. Does it make sense? Who are not fully enlightened, who are still struggling on their own, one should not take refuge, ultimately speaking, right? Of course, in different ways, different, temporaries, different story. But ultimate refuge should be in the Buddha jewel. One should not take other refuge. Once one take refuge in Dharma jewel, one should not harm any sentient beings, really, intentionally. If one intentionally harms sentient beings, then one loses the precepts of taking refuge. From very basic foundations, Buddhist teachings is that never harming any beings. After taking refuge in Sangha jewels, one do not ultimately consider those who against this path. Of course, those non-believers is a different story, but the one who kind of against, who denigrate, who one should not, be a company with them. Because again, the idea is the same. If one do that, one is vulnerable, right? So one should not be friend with those who go against, denigrate, who make you eventually give up your path. Stay away from. These are the three precepts. the first to abandon these three, right? Second one, three to be adopted. Once you take refuge in Buddha jewel, all this Buddha representation one venerate, respect. So statues, tankas, everything venerate. Once you take refuge in Dharma jewel, one regard all these texts which has Dharma teachings as precious, respect. So in this regard, one of the common mistakes we make is that sometimes new, ones, we step over the text or, put them on the ground, and those things should not be, So as a precepts of taking refuge in Dharma jewel, one regard this as the Dharma. This represents this Dharma, the very path that one takes. So always to treat with respect. In this regard, even translation, our book, should be venerated, not put in the bathroom or, always put in the higher on the table. So this is important. And then, as a precept of taking refuge in Sangha jewel, then one regard and respect all that represents Sangha, monks and nuns, of course, but anything that, even clothing that which represents, like there are particular shawls, monks, nuns dress, this we should respect. It's a Sangha jewel. So that way, one uphold the precepts of the three jewels. And then beyond that, this thing I want to say. If you go to Himalayan country, I don't know other Asian places, Himalayan countries, we have always altar, and then in the altar, the Buddha image, all these things, text, sacred text, and in front is the offering bowls. And in households, every households, you find almost no one that do not have, all the Buddhists. So in the morning, we do these 7 bowl offerings. Every household do that, regardless of whether they consider themselves practitioner or not. They are practitioner if they do this, obviously. In my own case, when I, was young, my job was that. I woke up, do my practice, and then first thing is then clean the all. I had actually 3 sets of bowls, long ones. I had to clean with my special clean cloth and put all in a line, and then go and fetch water, new water, pour in there, and butter lamp, light, and then put incense, and 3 times prostrations while saying, 7 branch prayers. And what I'm trying to say here is that even if you can do it, I know lots of you do it, but if you do, those of you do not do, I would rather recommend you to do, okay? I'm sure you have a place wherever you are, extra space, and put something there which represent Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, doesn't really matter. Even a small picture of Guru Rinpoche or Buddha. And then in front, put some kind of offerings. If you can, of course, water bowls, incense, light a candle. Something very special actually doing this is, and you sit in front and do 3 times prostrations. When you do 3 times prostration, do the 7 branch prayers, like in the Bodhisattva ceremony vows, we have the 7 branch prayers, right? Or in the Tara practice, we have all the Chenrezig practice with 7 branch prayers. Basically, I pay homage to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, masters. I make offering to all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, masters. I confess all my negative deeds in the presence of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. I rejoice all the merits of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. I request to turn the wheel of Dharma to all sentient beings. By doing such, it's very powerful. Just Dharma teachings, Dharma experience naturally arises within you. And think that all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas always remain there, present in our beings, in my beings, in the presence of all beings. May you never pass or left us, but always remain in our presence. Very important. And dedication, whatever merit this I acquire, dedicate for the benefit of all sentient beings. So amazing. This is general, very general practice in Buddhism, by the way. Very general. And then you just sit there, quiet. See what happens. Wonderful thoughts may appear to you. A surge of compassion may appear to you, to all beings. Incredible deep devotion that one cannot explain to one's own teachers or to all the great beings in 3 times and 10 directions may appear in you. Something very special happens. Just happens. So, particularly I should say, new moon, full moon, Medicine Buddha Day, Guru Rinpoche Day, Dakini Day, these are very important days to do those, if one can. And making offering doesn't really matter, whatever offering you have, basically, right? They don't have to be traditional, What do you like? That precious to you, just put in on the altar. And particularly if there's something you want attached to, put that on the altar. It may help you. The whole offering is also incredible ways to reduce attachments. And also, I want to share this. There's one prayer. Time is really not waiting for. We say offering prayer. One offering. Whenever one eat, think 3 jewels. Basically, when in the daytime we think 3 jewels, at night time we think 3 jewels. And there's a prayer. We usually say this prayer most commonly. Dönpa Lame, Sanjay Rinpoche. All this. We say, Supreme Guide, the precious Buddha, Supreme Protector, the precious Dharma, Supreme Leader, the precious Sangha, to the most worthy triple gem refuge, I make offerings. So these, whenever we go out, when we see a beautiful thing, they're really appealing to our mind, whatever that may be beautiful gardening or beautiful waterfall or beautiful redwood trees in Northern California or opera, right? So these things are very important. And traditionally we say this prayer before we eat. Was put as a very important to live a life, sustain our life. Food is very important. So whenever we eat food, we say this. prayer. So these are great traditions, great ways in which you remind yourself always 3 jewels, right? Always 3 jewels. So these things I want to share. And chapter 9, and for the rest, is a benefit. Now one have the foundations, really, just so on the path. 3 jewels in one's life. What else would you need more, really? There's 3 jewels. Dhamma jewel, Sangha jewel, and Buddha jewels. The benefit of this is once one take refuge in 3 jewels, it is said that one will never fall into lower realms. The animal realm, hungry ghost realms, hell realms we discuss. One never fall to these realms. One will be always protected. Saved from all these. And once saved from all dangers, basically, outer dangers. Now inner danger, of course, when one really take refuge in 3 jewels, then one is on the path. One is already on the path, which means one's now heading right straight to perfect enlightenment. Removing all the obscurations, acquiring wisdom and compassion little by little, receiving blessing little by little. The day go by, month go by, one is ever inching toward enlightenment. So, one should feel very, very good. One have all the reasons to be happy, in fact. So here are 3 jewels. Even the whole world against you. Here one have 3 jewels. One is secure on the path to liberations. So, always think about 3 jewels. Always think about the precepts. And then, this is how we steadily, firmly walk on the path of liberations. And it is not necessarily ultimate goal until that one reach, but on this path, everything is perfect, joyful. When one's trust is put on the 3 jewels, we are on a totally different wall. Our inner wall changes. We're ever more secure. We're ever more grounded. The path is clear. So, for us, by the virtue of studying this and talking about this, from this moment on, let us be clear that one is on the path of liberations. And one has taken refuge in 3 jewels. So, we slowly move on. This is very important. Usually people say, oh, how come you Buddhists sometimes not necessarily acting like that? Lots of anger or jealousy is showing. And I said, well, we are, after all, human beings. That happens. But in our inner heart, we have entrust our whole thing in the 3 jewels. We meant to be, we really wish to be, or we have the sincere motivation of following the three jewels and upholding all the precepts, that makes us who we are as a Buddhist. That doesn't necessarily at all means that we be able to live by the principle at all time, but that is not able to live by our principles, not our intentions. Our intention must be this one: taking refuge in three jewels, upholding all these precepts, and that is what it means to be a Buddhist, to be on the path to perfect enlightenment. Thank you. Okay, everyone. One question, let's say, online. If there's one question, then we dedicate. Robin?
I don't see any questions. I don't see any hands raised.
Oh,
Would you like me to
thank
show
you.
the
Thank
offering?
you. The offering prayer is with Robin. So if you can put it on the chat box, most people already have, but if you still wonder, it's there. So that's it. Thank you, everyone. I think, okay, still, let us just sit for a few minutes, okay? Sit straight, relax. Let us briefly think about the refugee tree. 5 branches. In the center sits Guru Rinpoche, whose embodiment of all Buddhas. On the right side of Guru Rinpoche, on the branch, sits all the Buddhas of the 3 times. On the left side of Guru Rinpoche, on the branch, sits all the Sanghas, Supreme Sanghas. In the front branch sits all the Idam deities. Branch behind Guru Rinpoche, all the sacred texts, the precious Dharma jewel. Just think that. That's it. Okay, and then time to time, one say the prayers. In the daytime, whenever you think like this, at nighttime, think like that before you go to sleep. In the presence of Teju, one sleep, one wake up, in the presence of Teju. So at all times, when one eat, drink, make offering to 3 jewels. When one see great things, make offering to 3 jewels. Basically, the whole point is keep on reminding yourself, right? the 3 jewels, their significance. And that's all. That's all I'm going to do. Thank you very much.